Welcome to the Comicstorian channel, where we take some of your favorite pop culture universes and break down the lore in comic books and synopsises of the movies into an audio drama, allowing you to keep up with your favorite world. Today we're going to do an interesting storyline, something that some of you know, something that some of you don't know. Many of you do know that I'm a fan of high fantasy and medieval stuff, and because of that, I actually read a lot of the Conan comic books. Today, we're going to do one of the other ones that I read, Red Sonja. Think of Red Sonja as basically a female version of Conan. So, yeah, if you enjoy this, please let us know in the comments down below. This is the kind of video that's going to need your comments to exist. If you don't let me know what you thought about it, well, it will just get buried in the YouTube algorithm. Also, don't forget to follow me over on Twitter, where we can talk about what you enjoyed and didn't enjoy about this. We're trying to build up our Twitter presence and would appreciate your help. On that note, let's start the video. King Demoth, dressed clad in armor, led the charge against the great King Bazrat and his kingdom of Zamaria. He was victorious in his battle, but the cost came with the morn painted red with the blood of his soldiers. However, there was one question in King Demoth's mind. Where is the Butcher King of Zamora? Demoth's generals all seemed to have different answers for him, some saying that Bazrat fell in battle while others saying that he escaped. One was for sure. His body was not among the rest. King Demoth then asks what of the prisoners, were there any survivors? As the generals lead the king below, one of the generals tells him, aye, there are. However, out of the 80 prisoners, only 2 remain. They were made slaves to fight one another for sport. The 2 left, they ain't human anymore. The doors to the dingy dungeon open, and before the king are 2 women bound by ropes and chains. The general raises his bow, stating that he will grant them mercy by ending their lives in a peaceful way. King Demoth holds out his hand to lower the general's bow, stating no. They fought for their freedom today. It would be unjust to deny them that, whoever these creatures used to be. One woman struggles in her bindings, lifting her bloody head, stating, my name is Red Sonja. 3 turns of the season later, that same woman, Sonja, sleeps by a campfire along the border of Camarian. As she sleeps, the bandits with black markings over their eyes steal what they can from the slumbering barbarian. The 3 search the horse, but then they're startled when Sonja tells them to take the food if they want it. The gold as well, but touch her sword and they will die. Touch her and they'll die fingerless. One of the bandits shouts that there are 3 of them and 1 of her, not to mention her sword is not even within arm's reach. She tells them true, but she keeps a dagger under her pillow. Are you a gambling lot? The bandit asks, if that's the case, why not kill him already? So Sonja tells him, because she is drunk and her aim might be a bit off. One of the other bandits tells the leader that they should leave. They shouldn't waste what little life they have here. And the leader yells that they will run from no blade. That's when a pair of twins leap from the shadows, stating that they shall save their radiant ladyship for Petra and honor. Sonja groans, getting up asking, whatever you are, can you rescue me more quietly? The twins hold their bows up ready to fire, but can't. She gets up shouting that is enough. Leave. The bandit leader grabs one of the twins asking, or what? You're drunk. She jumps over the campfire, grabbing her sword, quickly stabbing into the head of one of the bandits. Another runs in, but she knocks him in the side of the head, grabbing the dagger from her waist, throwing it into the skull of the bandit leader. She turns back to the bandit not killed and asks, what shall I do with you? And the bandit begs, please don't, I'm sick. He vomits up blood and Sonja shouts, asking, what in the name of the goddess is this? One of the twins says that it's the plague. King Demoth begs for her to come. She heads to her horse, telling the twins that they need not follow her, but they can tell her that they are not couriers, they are bodyguards. They have slain hundreds with these bows. So she asks, were they men? So the twins answer that it was more along the lines of rabbits, large rabbits. So the 3 ride into the night as she learns the names of her bodyguards, Isla and Anissa. As they arrive at the castle, Sonja also learns that she isn't there just for the king's council. There is a party. The servants of the twins attempt to dress Sonja, and she asks, what is all of this? Why make me wear such a foppish gown? Anissa tells her that it is the last state dinner of their people. It is tradition. With one last grunt, she stands in place, allowing the women to fit her. Moments later, she is presented, and everyone kneels. Sonja does not. King Damath asks why does she not kneel or call him sire. Sonja tells him that on his last day she shall. This is not his last day. Damath then explains that the Zamoran have marked them for fire. They have been touched by the plague, and it hit their army first. The Zamorans have a terrifying general who brought unclean allies from the coast, beasts of the sea who walk like men. They attack city-states hit by the plague, stating that they do it for the good of all. They kill everyone and burn everything. With no soldiers left, he has called upon her to teach the farmers and craftsmen how to fight. Let them at least die fighting. The next morning, all of the men, women, and children were gathered to learn the way of the blade. Sonja made it very clear that if any of them lowers their sword in combat, she will cut their heads off personally. So 3 days pass, and on the 4th, word comes in that the Zamorans are here. As sun rises, Zamoran forces surround the castle, and the Patronins ready themselves for battle. King Damath asks Sonja, will she be his general today? And she tells him that she is. Sire. King Damath then shouts, conduct war! Red Sonja of Heikelin! She jumps upon her steed, charging forward, and she is suddenly stopped upon hearing a voice. A familiar voice. The voice tells her how they waited for this day to come, and her eyes widen at the sight of dark Anissa, her sister from the Zamorian slave pit. Sonja quickly jumps off her horse as Anissa raises her axe, stabbing into the horse that she rode in on. But how? Why? Anissa was considered a sister. They fought in an inescapable hell until only they remained. The following morning, they were scheduled to fight, friend to friend, savage to savage, sister to sister. Anissa's horse falls over onto Sonja, and one of the Zamorian soldiers shouts to get her while she's trapped. But as the soldiers charge in, they are suddenly shot in the backs. Across the field, Nias and Isla ride through, stating that those were some very fierce rabbits indeed. King Damath raises his sword, asking, well, are we going to let the children fight our wars? March! Sonja pushes the giant horse off of her, shouting, asking, where are you, sister? A shadow looms over her as Anissa brings down her axe, clashing with Sonja's sword. For that moment, the two are eternal, and the flow of time stops. But just like that, the flow continues, with Anissa hitting Sonja with the end of her axe and Sonja slashing into her chest. This was the same woman that 3 years ago she shared a cell with, both subjected to the same defilement that the disgusted merman Toda would give them. It was the same woman that Sonja was fighting today on this battlefield, but Anissa swings her axe missing, then lunges and strangles Sonja, telling her that she dishonors the dead. She shames them both! Sonja pushes Anissa back, punching her, stating that even if their army is 5 times bigger, Petra has the devil on their side. Anissa reaches for the dagger on her ankle, slamming it down into Sonja's leg, stating that you were always so proud, vainglorious! As the masses fall around them, Sonja pulls out her dagger, telling Anissa, you must leave now or be killed. Anissa scoffs, telling her that that's what she'd expect from her. That is why she must die for her selfishness and betrayal. So Sonja stops, asking, what betrayal? We were forced to fight our fellow prisoners. We survived alone. I never betrayed you. Anissa shouts, asking, you think that it's me that you betrayed? Don't mock me. It is them that you betrayed. They follow you always. As Anissa motions to the empty space behind them, the ghosts of those that they have slain in the pits rise. Anissa says that the sorrowful ghosts of the slaves that they killed. Can she not hear their endless grief and hatred? Not seeing what Anissa sees, Sonja says that there is naught but error behind her. And Anissa yells, you have forgotten them! You pretend to not see them, so it is left to me to bring our companions solace. Just then, King Damath rides in, shouting that she shall not leave the city, but before he can reach her, Anissa picks up the dagger, throwing it right into Damath's neck. Sonja screams to the king as she runs over to catch him, then turns back, yelling that she will take her life for that. Anissa picks up Sonja's sword and holds it broadside out, stating, no, you won't, you will stand down. And Sonja then asks, why in Trim's name would I do that? Sonja looks at the reflection of herself in the sword, and she sees her skin changing, and Anissa tells her that she has the plague, you stupid fool. Sonja falls to her knees, stating no. And Anissa tells her yes. The mighty Sonja, invincible general, warlord queen. Anissa drops her axe, kissing Sonja, telling her that she would have done anything for her. But because of who she is and what they shared, she will give her a bargain no afflicted town has received. It will only be offered once and only once. The people will live with what time they have left. They will build a fence around this living cemetery, and no one will be allowed in or out without penalty of death. Sonja gets up asking, what is the price for this mercy? Anissa turns back stating that she will hand over her sword. Red Sonja will kneel and surrender for her crimes with honor. Or is the great undefeatable Sonja's pride worth more than the lives of the people she claims to protect? Silence falls over the battlefield, and all that can be heard is the clanging of her sword as it hits the ground as she kneels. Anissa picks it up, stating that she will be exiled into the snowy mountains of the north. She will speak with no one and avoid all humankind until she dies. She is no longer Sonja the devil. She is nothing. Someone mark this wretch, and so branded with the mark of the infected. Just as the bandits before, Sonja is sent north with nothing but a horse and her own cursed corpse. 2 fortnights pass since Sonja's exile, and every day the plague rages in her body. But while filling up her water pouch in a creek, there's a snapping of twigs, and she quickly pulls back on her bow. Before she loosens the arrow, a large white stag stands before her. She quietly says that she's sorry, majestic one. But before the arrow is let go, she releases the string on the bow, telling herself that she cannot end this creature's life. It would only prolong her broken and finite body. She has failed. More than that, she is surrendered. As the strength leaves her body, she falls to the ground, telling all of those who loved her that she is sorry. They are all long gone while she lived on. As Sonja closes her eyes, she opens them again to see her younger self out in that forest. She hears voices telling her to wake up, and just then a white stag jumps over her, escaping. Her father and brothers run past, asking how she could let it get away. So she grabs her bow, stating not likely. She may be young, she may not be a son, but no man in the village can match her speed. A short while later, she returns with sadness on her face, her father asking where is the stag. Sonja tells him that it is gone. She had it in her sights, but she couldn't let it go. Her father sighs, stating that she is better with a bow than anyone in the village, but tonight that costs them all the food that keeps them alive. She is not ready for the hunt. Perhaps she never will be. This was a mistake. And just then, one of her brothers calls out that there's a fire back at the village. Her father tells her that she must run, and then he and her brothers make their way back to the village. Soon after, she hears the screams of other villagers and knows that she can't leave, not like this. She quietly watches as the marauders raze the village and sees her father and brothers fight. She pulls back on her bow, but before she can let it go, a marauder grabs her from behind, asking, what do they have here? She struggles to free herself, but the marauder tells her to watch. The man leading them, his name is Rashak the Grand. He is going to be warlord one day. The first to fall by Rashak's hand was her eldest brother. Next, her younger brother, and then her mother. When her father tried to stop him, Rashak took his axe and cleaved it through her father's stomach. She cried out for her family. The marauder holding her tells her that now that they have been taken care of, he should have his take over her, teach her proper education and the like. Sonja breaks free from the marauder, and as he tries to move, he feels a sharp pain. He looks down to see a small dagger lodged into his stomach. He lifts his head, stating that she is the devil, and as she fires an arrow into his eye, she tells him, yes, she is the devil. After that, everything fades to black, and Sonja wakes up, seeing her entire village destroyed and the bodies scattered throughout the ruins. She then does what she must. She grabs a shovel, digging a grave for every man, woman, and child in the village. As night came, she used her tracking skills to follow the band of marauders to their campsite, and she watched and she waited. As the drinks flowed, soon Rashak had a bladder to expunge. There, in the tiny brief moment of weakness, Sonja struck. Some time passed, and the marauders wondered where their fearless leader went, and as they go looking for him, they find his severed head hanging from a tree. Everyone panics and runs, but one by one, Sonja slaughtered them, each and every one of them. As the memories fade, she wakes back up in the current day to see the white stag giving her warmth. She gets up and begins to dig a hole where she will let out her final breath, giving herself back to the earth. Except when the wolves come to fill their bellies, they're hit with arrows. Nias and Isla shout that they have come. Her radiant bodyguards have arrived. They've searched high and low for her. The king's son, he found a cure to the plague. The twins then take a closer look, and Nia says that she is dead. Red Sonja is dead. Suddenly, Sonja reaches out, stating that she can't see. She can't see! So Isla brushes the snow off her, telling her that it's the plague. Most lose their eyesight before the end. They have to hurry back to Petra. King Damas's son, Tiath, claims to have made an elixir, one that can save her ladyship. Or it might kill her on the spot. They aren't sure which yet. As the night begins to set, Isla and Nias forward to the forest for food and water when suddenly Isla is ambushed by a merman from Anissa's forces. Nias tries to run to her sister, but another merman stops her, stating that they broke quarantine. And Anissa says that they were given permission to make him as an example. The twins struggle, and another merman asks their captain what should they do with them. The hooded merman says that it would be most memorable. It should have style. Bend them forward, cut through to the spine as they do with fish. Pull out the bones and then clean and gut them. The merman begin to drag Isla away, but soon a knife is brought up and an arrow shoots through the merman's neck. Everyone turns, seeing Sonja, her eyes still bandaged, stating that she is surprised that she has to say this. But those girls are not seafood. On hand her bodyguard, she still has need of them. 2 more mermen charge towards Sonja, shouting to the others that she's blind. Kill her! 2 more arrows are fired into the heads of the running mermen, and the one holding Isla yells to stop moving. She's tracking them through the water splashing. But she wouldn't have a way to track them on land. Sonja releases another arrow, hitting the merman holding Isla, stating, true, but you are upwind. And you do leave a presence in the air. Now free Isla and Nias take out the guards close to them while Sonja cuts the head off another. And just then the hooded merman lunges at Sonja, wrapping his hands around her neck, telling her that she stinks as much as them. She breaks free, stating that voice, she knows who he is. He is a straggler, Tota the Tormentor, the slave keeper. As Tota reaches out again, she swings her sword with one fluid motion, cutting off both his hands. He falls to his knees at the edge of the waterfall, telling her, please, please, mercy for Tota the Pitiful. She puts her foot on his head and kicks him off, stating, tell Sonja you love her. She then reaches for the knot on her blindfold, slowly pulling it off, letting her eyes adjust to the light, stating that she is coming. Her eyes red from the plague, she shouts, asking, can you hear me? I'm coming for you, Anissa! Up along the border of Petra, the guards are stationed to turn back anyone who wishes to enter the city. But as the men and merfolk sit around the campfire, something is thrown into the pit. One of the men reaches down, pulling on the rope that has the heads of both men and merfolk tied to it. The guards panic, grabbing through the swords, and from the entrance they could see a hooded figure walking towards them. One of the guards shouts that it's the curse. It's the devil, Red Sonja! But before they could even fire an arrow, she vanishes. One of the merfolk reach for the siren, but before he can ring it, 2 arrows are shot into his head. Sonja steps out, along with Isla and Nias, stating that they're wishing to cross into Petra. They have no papers. Perhaps they care to stop them? The next morning, Anissa watches over the city, hearing a voice calling to her. You promised us death! She tells the voice that the entire city is touched with the plague. Soon many will accompany you into the afterworld. And the ghosts of the slaves that she killed appear, and one shouts, lies! The people of Petra are not plague-touched. You deny the truth as your eyes see it all. You and the she-devil killed us in the arena. You owe us deaths. Anissa tells them, yes, she promised them companions, and the deaths that they shall have. But just then, one of the guards from the border outpost rides up, shouting that he has news. It's the general. She's back, wanting everyone to know that she is alive. She crawled out of the grave by some ungodly means. It's Red Sonja. They should flee. How can they fight something that cannot be killed? Anissa looks up, stating, no, they will not run. She broke her word, and now she must pay. Gather every patron, man, woman, and child, lock them in the towers, and burn them to the grounds. Later, Sonja muffles through the bindings in her mouth, and Tia asks, excuse me? As a leech latches onto her stomach, she shouts, get on with it! As Tia holds the leech in place, he says that he detected the disease was bloodborne. It was a matter of generating the proper anticoagulant for his antidote to work. That's where the leeches come in, you see. She groans as she reaches for her drink and asks, I met you at the king's final party, right? Tia goes on stating that yes, he was there. The party was his idea, in fact. She was very beautiful that night. His father saw her as the sun and the moon, and he could see why. He isn't good at swordplay nor diplomacy. His father had little use for such a son. Perhaps she was the son that he always wanted, a hero. Sonja places her hand on his, telling him that if he genuinely has found a cure, son of Damath, he will be by default the greatest hero that Hyboria has ever seen. If he gives her the damned flagon of wine, she will build a statue of him herself. So once the leech has had its fill, Tiath says that with a week's worth of rest, she should make a full recovery. She gets up, telling him that she has perhaps a half hour. She has an appointment with the woman who has killed his father. Tiath excitedly says, I see! Very well then. I have something for you. The best chainmail in the city, and well, my father's sword. You'll avenge him as his son cannot. She begins rubbing her head, stating that he has done well, but there is one last thing that she needs. Get a scrub so that she can get this damned mark off her face. The next day, as the dawn breaks over the old Zamara-Zald pit, Sonja stands before Anissa. Anissa says her guard said that she was to come here, where they were made. Pity King Damath outlawed blood sport. Sonja reaches for her sword, stating that when King Bazrat made them slaves and fighters, she hated spilling blood. Leave this city, sister, return the sword, and get out. You are not the woman I once loved. Anissa charges forward, shouting that she wants the sword returned, and so be it, devil! The two women clash, steel meeting steel. Back and forth they go until Sonja headbutts Anissa into the ground, telling her not to get up. But before Sonja can strike again, Anissa tells her to wait. She hears something. They are not alone. Seconds later, armed Zamorian guards spring out of the spectators' seats, and a voice tells them that no, they are not alone. He came out of a 3-year exile to see the death that he so rightfully deserves. Sonja and Anissa look up to see King Bazrat sitting with a goblet of wine, telling them that now, as the city of his conqueror burns, he gets to watch them die. Sonja quickly looks back at Anissa, asking if she knew of this. Did she know the Butcher of Zamara was still alive? Anissa's eyes go wide, stating that no, she did not. They were told her army was assembled by the Consortium of Allied States to fight the plague, to save as many as possible. Bazrat drinks from his goblet, stating, "Oh dear. Well, it is true. I did deceive you. In fact, there isn't a plague at all. It's a poison!" Anissa says, "No. You are lying. That's impossible." And Bazrat asks, "Is it? Or did we fight a war the way the gods do? Think, stupid child, think! Who died first of this plague? Armies. All the soldiers who could stop me in my conquest for vengeance. Then it was a matter of simply giving the formula to anyone who vexed me, while I myself hid in exile waiting for this moment. This beautiful woman next to me, she is the wife of a trusted and popular general in my former army. A simple matter, a loyalist to give the general a drink, and soon I take the grieving unprotected widow as a plaything, until I am weary of her, of course." Anissa stumbles. I've killed, burned, children, countless children. No, they're coming. Soon the ghosts of the slaves appear around Anissa, shouting, "Murderer! You burned our church with us inside! You killed my husband, murderer!" Red Sonja turns back, asking if all this madness is because he lost a battle to the patron king? She cares not which foolish venal man claims to own this grubby patch of sod, but know this, she places upon him a curse, and soon there will be no mawkish head to hold that gaudy crown. Before Sonja can attack, Anissa's shadow looms over as she shouts, "You did this! You made me into a monster!" Sonja blocks the strike, asking, "Please, do not make me do this. I have lost the taste of killing here." As the sword is knocked from her hand, Anissa says to remember what she did to Damath. Remember! Bazrat's prisoner pours him more wine, with Bazrat asking, "Do you see it? They doubted that I could make these two women kill each other. When will women learn that none can resist me?" Anissa throws herself onto Sonja, and Sonja fights back, rolling with Anissa's weight, throwing her into the stands. Anissa throws the daggers into the guards protecting Bazrat, and Bazrat shouts to the archer to kill them both. Suddenly, hundreds of arrows are flown, and Anissa turns, leaping down onto Sonja to shield her. Sonja shouts for her not to do this. "Don't die for her!" The arrows pelt her, with Anissa stating, one last time, I protect you, Sonja." Sonja reaches for her sword, telling her no, she has a bastard to cleave in twain. She runs, climbing into the stands, with Bazrat shouting to his guards, asking, "What are you waiting for? Kill her! Kill her! Protect the king!" Sonja stops before the guards, stating that they know who she is. They know who he is. "You know I will only say this once. Get the hell out of my way." The guards pause with hesitation, and Sonja says, "So be it," and she plows through, slaughtering everyone within reach. As the last man falls, Sonja throws her helmet, shouting to Bazrat to face her. As Bazrat begins to escape, reinforcements arrive, and he says, "Oh, blessed men of the garrison, avenge your king's honor! To my side at once!" One of the female guards steps forward, telling him, "Yes, of course. There's just one thing about that. He is no king to them." Isla and Neas take off the Zamarian guard, and soon the remaining guards are riddled with arrows. Bazrat turns to run, but Anissa gets up, standing in his way, stating that he is a coward. He is already a dead king. He falls to his knees, with Sonja telling him that she speaks the truth. But as she raises her sword, Bazrat's prisoner reaches out, stating, "Please, wait a moment." Sonja turns, asking, "You dare ask me to spare him?" The prisoner says, "No. Your sister is right. He is already dead." Bazrat told the truth. The plague is a poison, and one of my jobs was to ensure that his goblet was always filled. One of my many humiliations, but one with an unexpected benefit. Bazrat grabs his neck as blood begins to pour out of his eyes and his mouth, shouting, "No, I am king!" And as he chokes, the prisoner says, "Say hello to my husband." Everyone watches on as Bazrat takes his last breath, with Anissa stating that she's done terrible things. Sonja tells her yes, but she was deceived. She can't take back what she's done. Go in exile, sister. Do only good in the world. Just then, a shadow appears behind Anissa, and Tythe thrusts his sword into her back and out her chest. As her body falls, Tythe dances around, shouting, "I did it, father! I killed the woman who killed the king! The son that you were so ashamed of is avenged, Amath!" Sonja catches Anissa, setting her down as Anissa says that she will fight no longer. The ghosts, they surround them. "Do you finally see it?" The ghosts tell Anissa that she may come with them, because all is forgiven. Sonja cries, stating yes, she does see them. They have come to keep her company on her new road. She kisses Anissa's forehead and turns back in disgust. She picks up her sword and Tythe says, Wait! She killed my father! I, the swordless prince, have found courage! As the tip of Sonja's sword pokes his neck, she says that he is the world's most brilliant alchemist and scientist. Whose idea was the king's last party? Who served the wine the night before she caught the plague? Who in all the land could invent a poison that looks like the Black Death? Tia says stop as he falls to his knees. My father, he hated me. He treated the lowliest soldier in his army with more kindness and love. So Sonja asked, so you poisoned the army? And Tiath tells her yes. His father said that his science was unnatural. Bazrat said the only way his father and him could live is if he cooperated with him and killed the army. But instead, Anissa killed his father anyway. Please, I can change the world. No more sickness. I am days away from being able to cure death itself. My like will never come again. You can't kill me. Sonja asks, an end to death and pain and illness? The price is too high. With one swing, his head falls to the ground. Isla says, well, that does leave us without a leader. Will you? And Sonja tells her no. She's had her fill of royals. As an acting agent of Petra, she declares these two fierce generals to be the queens of the city. Any disagreements? No one says a word, and Sonja hugs Isla and Nias, telling them to keep their swords sharp. They never know when she'll need a pair of lethal bodyguards. Isla then asks how can they repay her? Anything she wishes. So she says, what you can do is reopen the taverns because I'm going to get drunk in a legendary fashion. And there you have it, another independent book brought to you by the Comicstorian channel. Now, if you liked this, let me know, because I'm debating doing the Conan comics, but I won't lie, as a part of our demographic, I decided to try the female version of Conan first, for obvious reasons if you've watched the video. Anyway, don't forget to follow us over at Twitter at Comicstorian. I do read the Red Sonja books, I do read the Conan books, and I want to know what you think about either one of them. In the comments down below or my Twitter would be great, and I'll see you next time right here.